Hi and welcome to the Avenue Code Extraordinary Woman in Tech podcast. Here you'll find inspiring conversations about technology, inclusion, and diversity. If you are listening to us from podcast platforms, be sure to follow us. And if you are watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel.
Hello everyone, I'm Oliana Zilbermans and this is Avenue Code Spotlight Series podcast. For today's podcast, I'm super excited to host Bhavini Soneji. Bhavini is a VP of Product Engineering at Cruise. She will be one of our speakers at the upcoming Extraordinary Women in Tech Conference taking place in San Francisco. Welcome Bhavini and thank you for accepting our invitation. And I want to jump right into just learning about you. Tell us more about your journey and what influenced you and in becoming who you are today.
First of all, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be part of this community. My journey started back in India, where I did my undergrad in computer science, and soon enough moved to US to do my master's at University of Illinois at Chicago. And was really lucky to get the diverse experience at companies like Microsoft, Snapchat, and mission-driven companies like ex-Headspace, and currently I'm VP of Product Engineering at Cruise, which is a self-driving car company. And when I look back and see the common pattern and the common threads, the piece that really influenced me was the love for technology and bridging that to the day-to-day lives of people's, and how we can enable technology to enrich people's lives.
That's amazing, Bhavini. Thank you. And your career is amazing. Looking at how you moved, from an engineer to, really grow into that leadership role. And I know you also have a special heart for women in technology. Can you tell us more about those initiatives and what you've been part of for amazing women in tech?
Yeah, let me kind of start off with the why first, right? Why is this important to me? One is, it's proven that diverse, inclusive teams drive better outcomes. And the second one is because being a woman in technology, it is challenging. Exclusion and chronic battles with systemic bias routinely impedes women to truly thrive. Daily battles with microaggressions formed by stereotypes can often hold us back. But this can be changed, and any change is not easy. Changing the women's representation and hence the bias is a much needed pursuit. And how do we go about this? That is where when women hear their own voices in their women's stories, and it drives courage, it helps bring one voice, and that becomes a chorus. And this helps prosper change. And the key to influencing this is through allyship, and at the same time, fostering some of these next generation women groups through rich, supportive community. So keeping this in mind is what propelled me to start, a Women in Tech, part of Tech Executive Group in Los Angeles, where we have other women executives as a support network, and to bring in the next generation. I have benefited a lot through these communities and to bring the voice and to do the allyship. And it's my time to pay it forward.
That's beautiful, Bhavini. And I think what you're saying is that it's not just being part of this, but also making something happen, being in action, cultivating, organizing communities, and actually being the voice so people can come to you and get the answers, because they're afraid to take risks. There's a lot of, as you said, preconceived notion about what the women's role should be in the world. And I'm so happy that you're also joining to be part of our EWiT conference in March. And that's why we are doing this, just to really build the platform and create that voice for women. So I wanted to ask you, what are you planning to share with the audience and with attendees at the conference?
First of all, I'm super humbled to be a speaker at the Extraordinary Women in Tech Conference, and excited to share my insights on one of my favorite topics, which is building an innovative culture. In today's day and age of tech evolutions, it's really important to have people and companies constantly reinvent themselves and keep that edge on innovation. And I'm excited about the extraordinary women in tech community, so that we can learn from each other.
That's beautiful, Bhavini. Can you tell us more about innovative cultures? What does it entail? Maybe just a couple snippets. What are the top 3 things you have to look for to get that, create that innovative culture?
Yeah, I think there are 3 things I would say. One is, focusing on the why. Who is the end customer? What are you trying to optimize and solve for? Second one is, whenever there is innovation and, you want people to take risks, how do you create a culture of psychological safety? How do you empower the people, and how do you enable taking risk? And the third one is a lot about, how are you driving some of the speed to innovation? How are you impacting data-driven decision making? How are you having the hypothesis-driven experimentation model? And how do you make this as a repeat pattern?
I love that. I would love to hear more about that. Cultivating the speed for innovation. And I know the other topics as well, but this is such an important topic when you think about speed of delivery and being ahead of competition, and also cultivating that type of culture that gets you there. So that's very, very exciting. Thank you. And I wanted to wrap up with a question about, what are you most passionate about in your career, in life? What motivates you to be the leader you are, or be the woman you are? And maybe you can share something with our audience.
I think when I reflect back, some of the things that I'm passionate about is the people first mindset, right? How do you inspire the best in others and enable them finding their superpower? And then once you have that, it becomes a win-win to tie that aspiration and skills and motivation to the customer. This enables to enrich and transform end user experiences using technology.
So, Bhavini, I had a question about advice for yourself. What would you tell yourself, a younger self, on when you just start in your career? What would you tell yourself in the steps to take or things to do to be a better self?
It's an interesting one, because I constantly reflect back and think, oh, what could I have done differently? And 2 things come to my mind. One is to broaden my perspective. To expand my network and my learnings, not being boxed into a particular area, and be more open to understanding different sectors. I did that a lot of it towards the later part of my career, but how could I have, been doing that at the start? And the second one is, to take risks, overcoming my fears, biases, and finding my voice, and advocating for myself. I think it took a while for me to get out of my own, cushion and being in that safety bubble. So kind of when I reflect back, how could I be more bold and ask for things rather than just waiting for it to happen?
Can you share an example of the risk that you didn't take that could have changed your life or perspective in life?
It's interesting when thinking back. It's more around, I think, a combination of small implicit things that hold us back. And, when you're making a decision, what are you optimizing for? Are you even self-aware of those? Or are you just going, with the expectations? And I think these small things play a huge factor. So now I'm being more mindful of the opportunities or the companies for me, because I want to work on mission-driven companies that align with my values and what I want to give back to the community.
What else would you like to learn, personally, maybe a technology or language? Or have you thought about what would I do for myself now as I'm progressing? I have this career, but what one thing you would want to do in the next year or so for yourself?
I would say 2 things. One is I want to learn and jump flying. So fly out of a plane, skydiving. I want to do that. And then the second one I would say is I want to open a nonprofit and be able to give back to the community and support underdeveloped kids' educations. And so I would love to kind of, see how I can propel and leverage technology to give that edge to some of the remote, undeveloped countries and places.
That's beautiful. Something for yourself and something for the community. I love that. Bhavini, what advice would you give to engineers, young engineers, female engineers that just entering the world? I know everything is changing. When the time when you were an engineer and the time where female engineers now is very different. But still, there are different things that come up. What advice would you give to a young female engineer entering the IT world?
I think one is having the clarity of what is important to them, what is success look like. So taking the time to defining that, to set their aspirations and be patient to achieve those, as well as be flexible. The second one, which is really crucial, is surrounding yourself with people who believe in you and being part of a community. I have a circle of confidence, my sister, my husband, my nephew, and, they help me bounce my ideas. They keep me grounded. They push me and help me strive for the best. So you really want to create this network of mentors and friends that you can, count on and get advice on. And the last but not the least is, you have to advocate for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself, and you have to ask for, what is the projects or what kind of opportunities you want to seek, and don't be afraid to take risks.
That's beautiful. I love it. My favorite is creating the allies and communities. I think that's where a lot of young kids skip. They want to do it all on their own and be strong and figure it out. But what I've learned as well in later in life is that's the key to success. Actually, communication, networking, and asking questions and really learning from mistakes. So thank you for that amazing advice. Hopefully they will take that in and go forward.
Totally. I couldn't agree more.
Thank you so much. It was very inspirational, and I'm really, really excited to meet you in person very soon.
Thanks to everyone who tuned in. See you in the next episode of the EWE Code Extraordinary Woman in Tech podcast. Be sure to check out the interviews from the same series on our blog at ewenewcode.com. See ya!